first of all, I do apologize the fact that I haven't been able to do News of the Future on December 10th, 2025, part number 2. I've been relatively busy with other commitments, so that's why I wasn't able to do it on Sunday. But that being said, ever since I was supposed to do it on Sunday, there has been some more surprising news that has happened in the MLS world, and I even added a couple of the News of the Future that I originally was going to do for part number 2, and hence that's why this board is pretty filled up, because originally it wasn't going to be that filled up, and that there was only going to be like 5 news points that was going to be talked about in part 2 of News of the Future on December 10th, 2025. Now, we begin with Lionel Messi is setting to leave Inter Miami and return to Spain heading into this offseason, and it's a shame the fact that Messi is going back to Spain, although there's no rumor or report that the club that he's going to be going back to Spain is Barcelona. They literally just said that he's going to be returning to Spain and he's going to join any La Liga club there. But, it's a shame the fact that Messi is no longer going to be with Inter Miami next season, because not only I want to see another El Clasico between Inter Miami versus the Galaxy, where that I remember the matchup this season was a 4-3 win for the Galaxy, and Messi actually got himself a hat-trick, while Ronaldo, who scored 2 goals for LA Galaxy, but unfortunately was sent off in the 89th minute after he kind of got with a little consultation with Lionel Messi after he decided to do a rough tackle on it. I thought we were probably going to be seeing something even more crazy happen in the next El Clasico, but unfortunately that is not going to happen because Messi is going to be going back to Spain. Now, despite the fact that Inter Miami does lose their top goal scorer, who scored 42 goals last season, which was a record, and he actually broke the record he set the previous year when he scored 40 goals in a season in MLS. Inter Miami already have a couple of players that is lined up to replace Messi, and a couple of these guys include Neymar and Griezmann, and in fact, there is actually a rumor that they already have agreed deal with Inter Miami, and I'm not quite sure exactly if Inter Miami is going to sign both of these players, because currently, Messi, obviously, now that he's no longer with Inter Miami does have that one DP slot open, but their other free DP slot is going to be filled up. Although, that being said, I do also remember from the last news of the week that the new CBA means that we are going to be having a 5th DP, and if that is the case, then technically they can actually sign both of these players, and it will be interesting to see how much David Beckham will throw toward Barcelona in terms of getting Neymar and Griezmann. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a lot of money, because I remember when Inter Miami was trying to get Messi from Barcelona, it broke the MLS record of a $50 million price tag to get him. So I'm assuming if they're going to get Neymar and Griezmann, whether if it's like in a one package deal or if it's going to be like a 2 separate signing, it's still going to be right up there in terms of how much they actually pay for Messi, and that both of these players that they're going to be paying is definitely going to be more than what they did pay for Messi a couple of years ago when they got him from Barcelona. Now, Ronaldo is, with the rumor about Messi leaving to Spain, well, with the confirmation that Messi is going to be leaving Inter Miami and returning to Spain, there was also a lot of speculation that Ronaldo would actually go back to Europe, and that he actually is going to go back to his boyhood club, Sporting CP, to conclude his final couple of season in his career. But that is not going to be the case, as he has openly said that he is happy to stay with the LA Galaxy, and that those rumor of him going back to Portugal and going back to his boyhood club, Sporting CP, is not true. And, I was kind of surprised the fact that Ronaldo decided to stay for another year. Obviously, I know the fact that the Galaxy, when they signed Ronaldo a couple of years ago, and right around a year before Messi came into this league, they signed him to a 5-year contract, and I believe this is the 3rd year of the 5-year contract that Ronaldo is in. But since Ronaldo has kind of started to age a little bit, and even by the time that his contract contract is over, he's going to be like around 41 or 42, and that not a lot of people thought that the Galaxy, even when they signed him to a 5-year contract, that he was actually going to be staying for the Galaxy throughout those 5 years. But, now it seemed like it might be the case, as, Ronaldo, he is staying put at the Galaxy, and that he has no intention of going back to Sporting CP. But we shall see whether or not if that is going to be the case in these next couple of years. And the other problem that the Galaxy is having is that with Ronaldo still with the Galaxy, they still don't have an open slot open. Well, they do have an open slot open with the 50p, but they don't really have a lot of cash, because remember how I said when Inter Miami signed Messi, which was $50 million that Inter Miami paid Barcelona? Well, the Galaxy paid $45 million for Ronaldo when they decided to sign him from Juventus. So, yeah, they were kind of very short in terms of money-wise. And, this is a time when Inter Miami has really took over as a team that has the most money to burn, and that they definitely worth more value than the Galaxy would have. So, well, it would be... You would probably ask, well, if Inter Miami throw a bunch of money to Messi, wouldn't they actually won't have enough money to sign Neymar and Griezmann? Well, that is kind of the case, but they have actually more money than what the Galaxy has. And the Galaxy, besides signing Ronaldo last year, they also signed a lot of players to try to improve their defense that unfortunately hasn't really helped out. And speaking of defense, that is one area that the Galaxy probably need to focus more than worry about whether or not if Ronaldo is going to stay with this club, because this team, for the past couple of years, not only they failed to move past the second round of the playoffs, but the reason why they haven't been able to move past the second round of the playoffs is because their defense is absolute garbage, and for the past couple of years they have been ranked as the worst defensive team in the league. So that is something that they'll probably need to focus more than worry about whether or not if Ronaldo is going to be staying put, even though most likely he's going to, with him saying that he's going to be staying put with the Galaxy. Now, the Galaxy hated neighbor LAFC is looking to acquire Irvin Lozano to replace Carlos Vela, who has retired this offseason. So Vela, of course, he announced last season that he was going to be retiring, and it's such a shame the fact that he suffered a torn ACL early in the season, and that even though he could have maybe did a Chad Marshall and decided to postpone his retirement until next season, he basically said that once he suffered that torn ACL that he was pretty much done, and that I also talked about how it was kind of a shame the fact that Vela unfortunately have his career ended because of an injury, because you never want to see a player whenever their career ended because of an injury. But now that LAFC doesn't have Carlos Vela, they have already thinking about getting a replacement, and while the replacement is his Mexican companion Irvin Lozano, who I think this would definitely be a good signing for LAFC, especially the fact that Lozano should be fitting in that same role that Vela play. Although the question is, how much exactly LAFC is going to try to get from Lozano? Because, I remember when LAFC got Vela, one of the reasons they kind of got Vela was because they were kind of an expansion side, and that they want to... They were definitely grabbing a lot of attention to some of those European star names to try to come to this expansion side and come to MLS, which that's what Carlos Vela kind of got attention to. The question is, will it be the same case with Lozano, who, he's really in his... who's just kind of past the prime of his career and really enjoying his time with Real Madrid right now. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not if he decided to leave, and the fact that he's going to be joining LAFC for this upcoming season. And if that is going to be the case, LAFC is going to pay a ton of money to trying to get Irvin Lozano, probably right around the same mark that Inter Miami got for Messi and the Galaxy got from Ronaldo a couple of years ago. Now, Atlanta United are also looking to get two promising South American players from Boca Junior to replace Joseph Martinez and Pity Martinez. Joseph Martinez obviously had a couple of weeks ago officially announced that he is leaving Atlanta and that he's going to be finishing his career in his home country, Venezuela. Well, Pity Martinez have just been sold to Napoli a couple of weeks ago for a record amount, $60 million. And with that much money that Atlanta has to spend, it's a good opportunity for them to continue to do what they always do best, which is go down to South America and look at two of the most promising South American player, which both of them they're looking at is from Boca Junior, and we shall see whether or not if they can get both of them. I mean, Boca Junior from years past, they have done deals with MLS team, but they are kind of a little bit reluctant in terms of just letting MLS team just kind of fleece their team. So I have a feeling Atlanta would either have to pay a bunch of money to try to get these two promising South American player from Boca Junior, or the fact that they're probably going to just get one of them, and the other one, Boca Junior, basically just said, yeah, it's not for sale. I mean, you can get one of our player, but you cannot get both of our player because we're not going to we are not going to just kind of just fleece our team just because some MLS team would just try to develop them, and the fact that they are going to sell him off of a profit. Although, having said that, Boca Junior could also have the option where, in case if there are going to be fleeced by these MLS team, they might put like a pretty high sell-on option where if Atlanta does get both of these players, even though they do get to develop both of these players, once they decide to sell these players, they're not going to have the same sell-on offer. And I was actually also going to say that Pity Martinez, even though they sold him for $60 million, they didn't really get as much as you would think they did. They definitely did not get the whole $60 million because Independente, or not Independente, River Plate, I was thinking about Ezequiel Barco for a second, that Atlanta also sold him off a couple of years ago, and they only got about 40% of the offer. When Pity Martinez got sold off to Napoli, Atlanta only got around 30% of the transfer fee, while the remaining 70% goes to River Plate. So we could be seeing the same case again if Atlanta decided to develop both of these players, and if both of these players that they're going to sell off to Europe and that they're going to get some big sell-on fee on them, they only are able to get 20% out of that. So, yeah. But moving on, in terms of the next news, is probably the most surprising news of them all. So, the Union have officially, well, not officially yet, but they are set to acquire Christian Pulisic for his homecoming. And when I heard about this news about a week ago, I was absolutely shocked the fact that Pulisic decided to come back to the US and play in MLS, because he has just had a couple of career year with Chelsea for the last couple of seasons, and I would think he would still going to be with Chelsea for a couple of years before maybe he can think about coming back to MLS and just finishing his career in MLS, and that most likely maybe the Union is going to get him, because I think the Union have a discovery rights toward him, although I know we shouldn't be even mentioning about discovery rights, because this upcoming CBA means that discovery rights means absolutely nothing. But, I was kind of surprised that they decided to get him right now instead of down the line. And if they are going to get him, which it seemed like it's most likely going to be the case, they're going to be paying a ton of money to Chelsea. And, I mean, I know Pulisic could definitely help that Union attack that has kind of struggled a little bit in these last couple of seasons, but they also need some big help in terms of other areas. And I just feel like yes, it would be great that they acquire a homegrown player. Well, not really a homegrown player, but a player that that lives not far from where the Union, of course, play, and that Pulisic have always said that if he does come back to MLS, the one club that he want to play is the team that he grew up rooting for, which is the Philadelphia Union. But I was kind of surprised the fact that it's this soon that is going to be the case, and I thought this was going to be happening maybe a couple of years down the line, not just heading into next season. Now, moving on, in terms of the next news, is that Landon Donovan and Tim Howard, guess what, have decided that they are going to be unretired again to play for new expansion side Las Vegas. And I'll tell you what, I think at this point, Landon Donovan and Tim Howard might as well think about unretiring in their international career too, because these two players has been unretired so many times that you just feel like they're trolling us at this point. Like Donovan, I think he's now 43 right now, and he's pretty much announced his retirement like 7 times, and then every single time after he announces retirement, less than a year later, he either play with an indoor soccer league team or he decided to play for one of the lower league team. But it's kind of surprised the fact that now he is going to go back to MLS and going to be playing with this Las Vegas expansion side. And the same can goes with Tim Howard, which I thought a couple of years ago, the last club he was joining, which was Memphis 901, you can definitely see that he was clearly washed up and that there was no way in the world that he was going to come back to playing in MLS. And Lord and behold, that is exactly what happened a couple of days ago, as he announced that he's going to unretire again and join expansion side Las Vegas. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not if both of these players are actually going to get some minutes with the team. Like, surely you would think that if you're the new Las Vegas manager, as much as you are going to get 2 of the most decorated U.S. star that has ever produced in this country, you don't think that you're going to just regularly start them just because of that. And that I feel like both of these guys are going to get limited minutes, and they're just there because everybody is excited about this Las Vegas team, and that a lot of people even say that this Las Vegas team are even going to get some big signing, which includes getting potentially Neymar and Griezmann and trying to fight Inter Miami in terms of trying to get those 2 players from going to Miami, but instead going to Las Vegas. Now, FC Cincinnati is set to hire their 10th head coach in franchise history after finish in the wooden spoon spot for the 7th year in a row. And I heard this new head coach that they're signing is Dutch, which is not a big surprise because the previous 4 head coach that they've been signed, well, actually 4 of the 10th head coach that FC Cincinnati signed has been coming from the Netherlands, and pretty much the last 3 Dutch head coach that coached this FC Cincinnati team has not done a great job whatsoever and have pretty much put this team finish in the wooden spoon spot. So I don't have a lot of faith of this upcoming Dutch head coach, which they haven't named who exactly is going to be, but I don't have a lot of faith the fact that he could actually get this team to not only get out of the wooden spoon spot, but actually make it to the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. But you never know. We'll see whether or not if FC Cincinnati will get it right, and that they always, as the old saying goes, eventually it's going to get it right, and eventually the 11th time will actually be the 10th time is going to be the charm, where they're actually not going to finish dead last in the MLS standings and actually maybe making the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. Speaking of teams making the playoffs for the first time history, Orlando City is another team that are looking to do that, as a team that still has the longest playoff drought of any team in MLS. They decided that they are going to be announcing Bruce Arena as their head coach in hopes to finally reach the playoffs for the very first time. And this, of course, was kind of announced a couple. Well, this was a news that happened just a couple of days after they fired one of their former head coach for not reaching the playoffs and just missing out by a point last season, which I thought it was kind of a little bit harsh because I thought this team probably would eventually make it to the playoffs. They were this close to getting it next season, but they felt like they want to move into a different direction, and now they decided that Bruce Arena is probably going to be the guy that take him to the promised land, and I think it's definitely a good hiring in terms of getting this team to the playoffs for the first time history, because when he was with New England, not only he was able to revitalize that team and pretty much make that team make it to the playoffs every single season that he coached, but he also got that team to 2 MLS Cup, which unfortunately both times they weren't able to win that. But right now, Orlando City, I'm pretty sure that MLS Cup isn't really the thing that they really want to aim at. The thing that they really want to aim at is actually making the playoffs and actually give this Orlando City fan base that has just grown tired of the fact that they have been such a mediocre team for a while, and that they never able to taste any playoff success or even any playoff appearance that they see this team in, that this would finally be the year heading into next season once Bruce Arena takes over this job. So yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for news from the future on December 10th, 2025. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the news from the future from December 10th, 2025, and also let me know in the comments below if I have missed any important news. I'm assuming most likely I have missed some important news, because I literally wrote the sport this morning, and I was actually going to film this morning, but then I once again caught up with a couple of important commitment that I have to do. So now I am doing this in the early evening part, and that I haven't actually looked at the MLS news site ever since I started to write all these stuff on the board. So most likely I have missed some important news throughout this time, but I'll mention tomorrow in the, well, not tomorrow, but I'll mention in about a couple of days in the news of the future, as we of course will begin another crazy off season where I'm assuming we're going to have some crazy signings that is going to take place. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.